Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we're doing Carrie from 1976. Back to the classics, Coriander.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Now, this is one of your favorite films of all time. I just want to
it is.
put that out
Yeah.
there. And rightly so. This movie, directed by the great Brian De Palma,
Mm.
it's just one of those classics in the horror genre, and also in film in general. And it's going to be fun to talk about it. We did this before on the old channel, and now we're doing our update for it. So let's see who we have in the chat as we get ready to get started. We got Patrick. Patrick's in the chat saying, not a bullied girl taking revenge, but a mutant who realizes she has superpowers. King revisited this theme in Firestarter as well. Yes, he did. He definitely did. Quasi's in the chat saying, hey, Nightwatch and Coriander and Killian, remember, they're all going to laugh. Right,
Oh
right,
no.
right. Laugh at you. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start this thing off, maybe with a quick take, or maybe some early thoughts that you have on this film that you've loved for so many years.
Yeah, like I said, I had a mother who didn't allow, for her daughter to watch horror movies as a kid. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to say that this is actually one that I was able to see pretty damn young, sleeping
Mm-hmm.
over one of my little buddies' houses. And yeah, I mean, it was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And ever since then, yeah, I've loved Carrie, and that was in grade school, so a
Oh
long
wow.
time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't see it that young, but I did see it once I was on my horror movie journey. But the movie starts off, and I just want to talk about some quick points, and we'll see where the conversation goes. But the opening scene that it starts off with Sissy Spacek, and obviously finding out that she's having her period. This scene was terrifying in its simplicity, but also
Oh yeah.
in Sissy Spacek's uh, acting, her reaction, and obviously, um, the
Those
mob.
girls. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was terrible, man.
I mean, I want to also preface this, especially for the younger audience. This is a movie. Obviously, this movie is 45 years old, and so it's a movie from a different time. And horror movies, especially today, are a lot more in your face, a lot more exaggerated, and so forth. But there's a
Mhm.
lot to be said for a movie that's more psychological. And this movie is more like that. It takes its time to build up things, to create
Mm.
tension, to build up character. And we do see some movies in the modern day that is trying to bring a little bit of that back, and I'm glad for it. But this movie has so many horrible elements, horrific elements to it, that I think
Yeah,
it still stands the test of time. What are your
totally.
yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree because, kids still get bullied nowadays. And I can't account for, the abusive parent, but they're out there,
Hmm.
so yeah, this is a totally relatable film to
Absolutely.
nowadays. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Real quick, in the chat, we have Slasher Fred who is saying Carrie is sort of a horror version of Cinderella, where instead of having the main character being abused by her stepfamily, she is abused by her mother and her female classmates. Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting way to look at it.
Like
Yeah.
everyone, this poor girl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Eric's in the chat too, saying still one of the best adaptations of a Stephen King novel, even after all these years. And you are
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Yep.
You are absolutely correct. Patrick is saying the Fury also has a mutant power theme. It does. It does. We got my man Neon Black, in the chat saying the book came out in 74, the movie in 76. I've never tried to find the answer, but how many authors have had their first novel made into a movie only 2 years after it was published?
Yeah.
I don't know of any. There might be, but one thing's for sure: Stephen King, right from the get go,
He's
man, he
yeah,
jumped
his
out of the
career's
gate.
been incredible. Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Hellbound in the chat. What's going on, man? Saying, sending my support. Great stuff as always. Need to revisit this film. Yeah, man. This was a
So
fun
good.
film. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was a great film to revisit. Just all the little nuances, and the movie was just done with such craftsmanship. It really, really was. Um, Fred also talking about some things that we will get into as well. But yeah, I mean, that scene was horrific. And again, Sissy Spacek, she's a legend. We know that. She's
Yes.
absolutely fantastic. She can do no wrong in my eyes. But after the fact, she does get, you know, some 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 relief, some friendship, some help. And what did you think of these scenes that were happening afterwards?
You know, can I just say too, when it first opens up when they're playing volleyball and you
Mm-hmm.
have, Chris who says, eat shit, it just shows that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you feel bad for this poor girl, because she
Mm-hmm.
plays, she's bullied, she's abused, and
Yeah.
yeah, she has like nobody. And to see this teacher come and step up and,
Yeah.
explain to her that, this is a normal thing. You're not
Right.
dying,
Yeah.
because her mother, yeah, once you start bleeding, the boys come a sniffing. So it's like, yeah, it's great that she had this teacher as a figure who she could look up to and
Right.
say, hey, this is happening to me and get a little guidance. Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And again, we'll talk about this many times, but Piper Laurie as Margaret, the mother. I mean, she
Wow.
was terrifying. I mean, honestly, when you really watch this movie for what it is, to see a mother um, that is portrayed like that,
Yeah, man.
someone who you have, or you're supposed to have complete trust and love in, and just to see how
Yeah.
Margaret was as a character, it was truly terrifying. But
It
um,
was. And just to
all
shout out to your horribles tag, I put her as the worst mother. So yeah,
yes, I
I agree
remember
with
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great pick too. When you picked her for that, I was thinking, wow, you're right, because Margaret White is a
But
very, very bad
yeah,
mom.
your pick was really good too, just had to say.
Yeah, thank you. But also the scene after she is rescued by the teacher, and she's in the principal's office, and the principal keeps calling her the wrong name, Cassie Ryan, and uh, all
Yeah.
these other names, and and
And
and
he's just being a dick because I mean
yeah,
the teacher, Miss Collins, kept saying it's Carrie. How
yeah,
many times did she say it's Carrie? And he
right.
ignored it and continued to call her Cassie.
And
Yeah.
I think what it was illustrating was Carrie not only gets bullied by her peers, but even by the adults and some of the teachers, and obviously this principal. She is ignored, she is belittled, she is disrespected. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is right in the beginning of this movie, right out of the gate, Carrie is put down at the lowest level that a girl
Hmm.
could be at that age. Any person, any child, any human being too. But
Yep.
so right out the gate, you're totally sympathetic to Sissy Spacek, and it's a roller coaster ride. Now, as you mentioned
It is.
earlier, we meet some of the bullies, namely Nancy Allen, who played Chris. She was fantastic in this role. And we just recently talked about her in Dress to Kill, and we'll talk
Hmm.
about her more because she's a legend. But she was fantastic in that role. I mean, she was truly a bully. She was truly the
Yeah, she
definition
was.
of a bully. I mean, she got all of her friends to basically, back her in anything that she did, and it was just crazy. That also brings in the great PJ Souls,
Hmm.
who played Norma.
Yep.
Which was Chris's right hand lady, so to speak, best friend, and
Hmm.
also the great Amy Irving, who played Sue Snell. Who, this is the interesting thing about the movie. Sue, when you watch her in the beginning of this movie, you kind of think to yourself,
Yeah.
well, she's not totally a jerk. She's more the person that kind of follows the crowd. You get what I mean? I don't know. Is that wrong? What did you think of Sue Snell, especially in
Well,
the
when you
beginning?
first saw her, I thought, look at these terrible bitches. I mean,
Right.
she didn't hesitate, you know what I mean? She went for it and she was throwing and she was saying, plug it up,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah,
So
joining the crowd. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. But you
Yeah.
could see as the movie goes on that she's like the only one who realizes, wow, what we did is really terrible. And she wanted to make it up to her.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that was cool that that was in the movie because it kind of showed a little bit of hope, a little bit of light, and maybe teaching a lesson to the
Mm,
viewer as Sue Snell is learning a lesson. Real
yeah.
quick in the chat, just to catch up with these guys, they're really working. Wow, Patrick was saying Piper Laurie was amazing. She really, really was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Eric saying volleyball, the most dangerous activity in high school gym other than dodgeball. Don't blame Carrie for being timid. I hated it. Laugh out loud. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Betty Buckley was the only death besides Carrie that was tragic. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll definitely be getting into that. Let's see. Just want to make sure I catch up to all you guys. You guys are kind of talking to each other too. But let's keep going. You know, you then kind of see what her home life is like with her mother. You know, some
Yeah.
specific examples, and she has to pray, and she has to always
Yeah.
be guilted, and she's
Yeah.
full of sin
Like
and
it
all
was
these types of
her
things.
fault that, yeah, that her first period happened and it's your fault, you know? So
Yes,
you
yes,
need to go pray. You need to be forgiven for, yeah, bringing this terrible sin upon you. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And again, Piper Laurie was fantastic in this movie. You also saw her in the beginning, basically, going door to door trying to preach the gospel. And you could also see how it was Sue's mother that she went to see in one scene, and you could also
Yep.
see how other people looked at Margaret White as this fanatical lady. And it just, I guess, what I'm saying is we're talking about the story, but also it paints this picture of who this character is. These are great ways to have good characterization in a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're
Mhm.
seeing a character from one point of view, but also other points of view, so that you can kind of have this full organic picture. But
Yeah.
the bottom line is that Sue was feeling kind of bad about what happened, and that was cool to see. And while all that's happening too, the girls are being punished, rightly so. I don't think they were punished
Yeah.
harshly enough, to be quite honest, for what they did. But of course, when you
Right.
have a principal that doesn't want to call you by your right name, you're probably not going to be
Yeah.
you're not probably not going to be punished very well. But
Yeah.
we also meet one of the greatest heads of hair in movie history, your boy William
God.
Catt, who played Tommy, and Carrie obviously likes him. Now this is when the story kind of comes together, because the game plan is for Tommy to take Carrie to the prom. Now, right off the bat, you just get worried about this as a viewer. What were you thinking at this point in the movie?
You know, I wasn't really too worried for Carrie yet because
Mm-hmm.
you could see that these two, well, he was just going along with what his girl wanted him to do.
Yes.
And, you know, I thought it was, in a way, it was probably like one of the best things that ever happened to Carrie.
Right.
She was involved in one of the shittiest moments in her life, and yet she made one of the happiest moments of her life happen too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
uh, these two, yeah, they were good.
Yeah. And of course, the teacher, is Mrs. Collins, right?
Yep.
Um, she finds out about this, and she actually sits Tommy and Sue down and says, "What are you guys doing? What are you guys cooking up here?" Because she was very
Right?
protective of Carrie, which I thought was cool. And again, it really
Yeah.
made her character, just very, very. You
Stand
just
out.
and
Karen.
yeah, yeah, and you
Yeah.
sympathized with her. But
Mm,
Sue and Tommy both said, "Hey, we want to do this to help Carrie, to kind of make it up to her and so forth." So at that point, you're thinking, okay, maybe this is going to work out okay. All the while, and I know you love this, but you have the legendary John Travolta, who
right? I
is in
mean,
the what?
yeah. I mean, who hasn't had a crush on John Travolta, honestly? So, yeah,
So
it was great.
he turns up in the movie, and he is Chris's boyfriend, and they start to cook up a game plan because they hear that Carrie's going to the prom with Tommy, so they start cooking up a game plan. And John Travolta has his moments in the movie. He's very very small role, but one of the parts of the movie that I thought was just, again, these are terrifying scenes. They're subtle but terrifying. But when they go to kill the pigs, because they're getting the
Yeah,
pig's blood, and he literally takes the sledgehammer to kill one of them, and it's just, and
yeah,
then
he
you have
does.
Chris yelling again. Nancy Allen was fantastically evil
Yeah,
in this movie, and she's
yeah, she
yelling,
was.
"Do it, do
Do
it,
it.
do it,"
Yes.
and I'm just like, holy shit, man, I'm glad that my high school was not like this. I mean, but this does, a lot of these types of things with bullying obviously happen to even worse degrees, unfortunately, and it's a shame. It really really
It
is.
really is.
But again, William Catt, with the greatest head of hair of all time, he's getting ready for the prom. He's
Yeah.
getting ready for the prom, and so is Carrie. Now, I want to talk about a scene, and I wish I could play the scene, but I want to talk about the scene where Carrie is actually, she's putting on her makeup, and she's getting ready, and it's a really cool scene. This poster shows a little bit of that scene, and her mother comes into the room, and Margaret is like, he's not going to come here. He's going to stand you up. And that's that famous scene that we played a little bit earlier in our intro, where she said, he's going to laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you.
Mhm.
It was at this point, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I've watched this movie many, many times, but rewatched it for this episode, where she says, please don't, she's talking to Carrie, please don't go. Stay here with me. We'll be together tonight.
Pray.
We'll
Yeah.
pray. Don't do this. Don't leave me. And
Yeah.
she's holding her and hugging Carrie. And I don't know. In this moment, I was feeling love from the mother. I don't know if I want to say it's the most innocent type of love, but it was like the one time in the movie up to this point where it actually looked like she wanted Carrie to stay with her because she loved her and cared for her. What did you get out of that scene? Because that's kind of what hit me. It actually made me sad in the moment, because at this point you don't really like Margaret as a character. You know what I'm saying? What did you think of it?
You know, this woman, I mean, yeah, I guess you could see that she cared for her, yes, because,
Mm-hmm.
you could tell that, yeah, she loves her
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and she just had a bad feeling that something was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, but nothing was going to stop Carrie, at this point.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, what could you do? No matter how
Yeah.
much the mother wanted her, showed her as much love as she probably would, ever received in her whole lifetime,
Mm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
chose to, be a normal kid and have a normal life because she was
Yeah.
neglected that. If you
Yeah.
think about it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it was also a scene where she said things are going to change around here. And Carrie was actually sticking up for herself, which was good to see because she had always been such an
Yeah.
introvert. But she also, at this point in the movie, read about, what was going on with her as far as the telekinesis. And she
Yeah.
understood what it was. It wasn't something that scared her anymore. And she even
Yeah.
told Margaret, it's not the devil, it's telekinesis, and other people can do it too. So in that
Yep.
scene when Margaret was begging her and on her knees and hugging Carrie, again, it was a fantastic scene by Piper Laurie. That's when Carrie was actually utilizing her powers specifically, when she was like, sit down, and shut up, and she used her powers to push her mother onto the bed, and she did it twice. And it was kind of like, okay, this is when things are really starting to heat up. And you have a scene like that, and then it changes the tone, and we pretty much head to the prom at that point, which the prom scene, it was a beautiful scene. The music was nice, the lighting was nice. Sissy Spacek looks gorgeous there. Everybody's feeling good. William Catt, he's got his hair. You know what he's all about. No, I'm just joking. William Catt, I do like William Catt. Shout out to the greatest American hero. Believe it or not. Okay, anyways. but
Wow.
they're just, you love it, but they're just hanging out, and Carrie is kind of coming out of her shell, and I think
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. You've got Mrs. Collins that's hanging out with her and saying, "Hey, it's great to see you here," and it was a sweet scene. What did you think of these scenes?
I mean, every moment that, Mrs. Collins was in, she made it, a caring moment. She was a
Yes.
caring person. And she
Yes.
showed it throughout the whole movie, especially towards Carrie. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've said, Carrie literally had nobody.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It was fitting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Real quick too in the chat, we got my man Doomsday Crypt in the chat saying, "Sup, everyone." How
Hey.
you doing, man? How you doing? We got my man Dan, Mr. Dan and Horror, in the chat saying, "Hey guys, sing at night."
Right?
Right. Patrick saying, "Night, do some Curtis Mayfield." maybe,
He would
maybe in
be
a
good. That's all I have to tell you guys.
maybe in another video. We'll see. We'll see. But anyways, but this is a beautiful scene, and you also have Sue Snell that is there. She's obviously happy that things are going well. Again, it's a very sweet scene, and of course, we know before this that the voting for the king and queen, it was rigged. It was rigged so that
Yeah.
Carrie and Tommy would win. So we already know that, and of course that's all Chris's doing because again she's the ultimate bitch in this movie. But
Mm.
we get to the ending. Everybody knows about the ending, but I just want to go through some of the high points of this. This scene, at this point, this is when the tension really kind of hits back with us because everything before this at the prom was just nice and sweet. But once they go up and they won as king and queen, that something bad is going to happen. If you've never seen the movie, you're not sure, but you know how bad it could be. And of course, you got Nancy Allen. She's just waiting to just
Mm.
totally disgrace and embarrass Carrie. And so you're so on the edge of your seat. Even though I've seen this movie dozens and dozens and dozens of times over my life, I was still feeling the tension in these moments. What do you think of these moments before the act is done?
They were great. I mean, you had the pretty music, with them
Yes.
on the stage, and then you
Mm-hmm.
had also that other music when the rope starts getting pulled. So
Yes.
yeah, you're getting like tension building, and yeah, it was a great scene.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you knew that, yeah, it was gonna end bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a gut punch because this whole movie has given you an image of Carrie that you just can't shake as far as being sympathetic to her and liking her and rooting for her,
Right.
hoping for the best. She's finally
Hmm.
becoming a regular, kid, teenager, and you're happy for her, and you realize that Tommy and Sue were true to their word. They really did want to give her a good moment and try to,
Yeah, they did.
make it up to her, so to speak. But then,
Yeah.
as we know, the blood comes down. I just want to say, Sissy Spacek in this scene, it I don't even really have the words, but she was so good in this scene as far as the the disbelief, the distraught eyes, the embarrassment,
Yeah.
the fear, the sadness, everything all mixed into one was in her face, and
Yeah, you had
it,
Tommy even was like, "What the hell?" Looking up like,
yeah.
going on.
Yes,
So yeah.
absolutely. So shout out to William Cat because he was great in this movie. He was a good guy,
Hmm.
with some good hair, and the rest of the people, and especially PJ Souls, they just start laughing, just like Carrie's mother had predicted. The look on Amy
Wow.
Irving's face was also like,
Yeah.
oh shit. I mean, so you realize
Yeah.
again, her and Tommy were true to their word and trying to really do something nice for this girl.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Well, it was just PJ Souls that friggin' started laughing. She even hit the people next to her to chime in with her, but they
Yes.
were looking at her like, no way, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's when Carrie, she just saw that one chick laugh, and she just, yeah. made it
Yeah,
like everyone was laughing at her, and
right.
yeah, the massacre began, man.
Yeah, yeah, and the way that Brian De Palma shot the scene, it was really, really interesting. And we've seen
Yeah.
in some of his work that we've talked about, whether it be Sisters or Dress to Kill, how he utilizes the camera in that way. And it
Mm,
was really fantastic because it looked like a kaleidoscope of
yeah.
people that
Yeah.
were laughing, and it was terrifying. But like you said, it's like something inside of Carrie just snapped, and
Yep.
she just went off. The look on her face,
She
it's
did.
funny because Sissy Spacek.
Terrifying.
Yes, I was just going to say that Sissy Spacek has such an innocent look to her, just naturally,
Definitely.
and
She you,
definitely
you she was so helpless, you know what I mean?
yes,
And
and
then
what
now you look at her and she's like, holy shit. I mean, she's like uh I don't know what you want to call her. She just, yeah, she explodes.
Yeah, I mean, and I was gonna say is that she just was so innocent looking, and then at this point, I mean, it is almost, demon like. You could just feel the
Yeah.
rage from her look, and it's funny because this movie, it's had a sequel, it's had I think it was a made for TV version. I think it had another version, and of course, it had the remake with Chloe Grace Moretz. And no disrespect to the other actresses, some of them did nice work in their own right, but to me, none of them came even close to what Sissy Spacek was able to portray without saying a single word. Just the look
Yeah.
in her eyes, and just
Hmm.
her skill as an
The
actress,
way
which is
she held her body. Yeah.
yes, yes. And so obviously, a lot of people get killed. Everyone
Yeah, they
inside
do. Her whole
basically.
friggin' senior class. Yeah. The
Yes,
teachers
yes.
and
Yeah, and
yeah.
and and of course I can't show it, but the scenes where she would just look in a direction, and of course you had the musical score, very reminiscent of Psycho. Sometimes in a split screen, and she would just give a look, and something would happen, things would
Yep.
explode, things would turn, go on fire, and people were just dying.
Hmm.
Obviously, the saddest death is when Mrs. Collins dies, which it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it just
She was
it
even like, no. And yeah,
yes.
man.
Yeah, yeah. And when she realized, what Carrie is, what she can do, and it was just totally heartbreaking. So the whole place is just engulfed in flames. Now, luckily, well, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but I'm saying luckily Sue Snell did
Yeah.
leave the auditorium right before it was all locked down by Carrie. So
Yep.
she obviously was the survivor. But then you have the fantastic scene where she's walking home, and she just has this walk. It's so creepy, man. You see that scene where, because you're wondering, okay, well, where's Chris and Travolta, and all of a sudden they're in a
Mm.
car coming up behind Carrie, and they were going to run her over. I'm like, well, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Chris was driving to boot.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I was like, wait a minute, you can actually you hate this girl so much, you bullied her and you hate her so much, you're gonna run her over and kill her? And like, what's going
Yep.
on? And then of course, that
Yeah, man.
fantastic scene, the camera angle and the cinematography where Carrie just turns around and the camera right up to her eyes, and obviously she kills Nancy Allen and John Travolta. But the funny thing about this movie, Coriander, is this isn't even the end. This is bad shit, but it gets
Right?
creepier, right?
Yeah.
She goes home. She's all messed up. She goes home. She is about to shower, or bathe and clean up. And I don't have the image. I looked so much for it. I wish I could find it. But you have that one scene where she's in her room, and the door is open, but not all the way open, and Margaret, played by Piper, is behind it, just standing there, like,
Yeah, she is.
and it was so creepy. Like, it creeped
Well, what
me
was
out.
creep yeah, what was creepy to boot was, before even this, when Carrie
Hmm.
was at the dance, she was down in the kitchen just chopping vegetables. She trashed her
Yes,
house. She her friggin' daughter's a witch and she's
yeah,
gonna kill her. Yeah.
yes,
She's gonna
yes,
take care of it. She even said, I should have killed you when you were inside me.
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit. Dang,
Right?
this lady is not winning Mother of the Year. Real
No,
quick
she's
in the
not.
chat, uh, Neil was saying, "Oh shit, I'd forgotten all about the greatest American hero." Laugh out loud. Yeah, man. Hey. We got Kyle. Kyle's in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Nice to have you. New to the chat. Saying hi, guys. This is my new favorite channel. Oh,
Oh,
geez.
nice.
Thank you so much. I first
Right?
read Carrie in high school during a massive hurricane. Best time to read Stephen King. Yes, I.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny you said that because I've read some Stephen King during storms and stuff like that. You're right. It is the best time. I mean,
Adds to the
he's
creep value.
oh my God, that is so true. It makes me almost want to wait for the next storm that I have and get ready to read a Stephen King novel.
That's funny.
Um, yeah. Patrick saying her daughter was a metahuman, not a witch. Patrick, this was not a Marvel movie, Patrick, but I get what you're
Right.
saying though.
Yeah.
But
According
yeah,
to
so
Margaret, she was a witch man.
yeah, and it's all because of sin and the devil. But anyway, so she bathes and changes. She's all cleaned up.
Mhm.
And again, sadness and horror mixed together because Carrie realizes that her mother was right. They all did laugh at her. They all were
Yeah.
untrustworthy. And
And she was ready to pray. Yeah, man.
she actually went to her mother and said, hold me, mama, and you were right, and blah, blah. I felt so bad for Carrie. And I also was terrified because of her mother. You know what I'm saying? And the scene was just so fantastic between these two actresses. But you have that legendary scene where she's holding Carrie and you're just praying. While they're praying, you're praying that she can just be a decent mom. You know what I'm saying? Her daughter is at the bottom of the barrel. You know what I'm saying? And then, of
Yeah.
course, as you mentioned earlier, she pulls out that knife and she freaking stabs her daughter.
Yeah.
What? She stabs her daughter. And it was so.
Hmm.
I cannot do it any justice to talk about it. All I can do is show you guys my emotion. But the way it was done, it was such a gut punch. You didn't expect it. And Sissy Spacek falls down, the stairs away from her mother, and she has the wound in her back. And you're just wondering, oh my God. And then Piper Laurie is walking down the stairs with the knife up, basically doing her greatest Michael Myers impersonation. And it's like, wow. What were you thinking during these horrific scenes here, Coriander?
You know, you kind of knew it was coming,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, when it happens, yeah, it's like, wow, this woman, yeah, she just stabbed her kid. And
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because then all, Carrie has left to do is to defend herself.
But
And
even
yeah, and go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, no, no. Finish.
Oh, no, no, go ahead. I'm done.
Well, well, what I was going to say is that or for me, I'm just amazed that she's planning to actually go through with it and try to kill her daughter. It's just a scary thing. The music is fantastic in this scene. The cinematography is so good. Piper Laurie is devilish in this scene, and again, she's walking towards Carrie, and you're just like, wow, this is how it's gonna
Yeah.
end. And like
Well, I mean, once Carrie used her powers on her, that's all it took for her mother to, yeah, I need to kill my kid now.
yeah,
Because she thought,
yeah,
yeah, it's evil.
yeah, she
So,
thought that Carrie was totally evil, a spawn of Satan and all that type of stuff. But like you said, Carrie used her powers to to stab her mom with multiple knives, and it was just
yeah.
it was just again, it's a horrifying scene. This is horror at its best. And as you
Hmm.
see, when she's finally done stabbing her, I mean, she's basically in the Jesus pose, and it was just
Yeah,
like,
that's just like the cross in her friggin' prayer closet that we didn't even talk about. That was the most creepiest thing in this movie.
oh
That
my
fucking
God.
cross and getting locked
Yes,
in that room.
you're
Just,
right.
I couldn't imagine doing that to, especially when Carrie was like a little tiny child.
Mm-hmm.
Good God. It's like, this
Yeah.
woman is, yeah. She deserved
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry, but she deserved it.
But yeah, you're right. That prayer closet was, as Killian would say, it was nightmare fuel because
Yeah.
it's a small little room. Everything is 80,000 crosses in there, and again that cross with the Jesus figurine on it. It always creeped me out as a kid. You're right. That scene creeped me out maybe the most. It really, really did. But you have Margaret, who's been killed by her daughter, and it's just horrific stuff. And but then you have Carrie that runs towards her, and she screams, and you hear that psycho type music, ding ding, and she rips
Hmm.
the knife out of her mother and hugs her. And it's at this point, and this is where we're gonna go with this finale. It's at this point that I'm wondering what's going to happen, and you see that the house starts folding in on itself. What were you thinking of in this scene? I mean, this is about as fantastical as the movie gets.
Yeah, it was a crazy, it's a crazy scene.
It
I
is.
mean, yeah, she rips her mother off the wall, then they
Mm-hmm.
crawl in that closet, and yeah, they
Yes.
sink to hell. And I guess if you think about it, that's where they belong. I mean, Carrie, she was a poor victim of everyone, but she turns around and kills her whole class, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and her mother's just as bad, and so yeah, it was a fitting ending to a tragic story of this poor family. Yeah.
Yeah, very tragic. And real quick in the chat, just to catch up with these guys a little bit, Fred was saying, I think Carrie's psychic power comes from her rage. Yeah, yeah, I could
Yeah.
definitely see that. And
Hmm.
we got Beth's in the chat. What's going on, Beth? Saying Mrs. White is scary as hell. There's no doubt
Yeah, she
about
is.
that. Yeah. Patrick saying Pamela Voorhees has nothing on Margaret. It's a good point.
Right.
Good point. We got Phil in the chat from Phil's creepy videos. What's going on,
Hey.
Phil? How you doing, man? Saying, hey there, horror fans. All right. Excuse me. Beth was saying some people do not need to be parents. You are right, Beth.
You got that right.
You are right.
Hmm.
Neil saying Margaret White was the monster in this movie. She's even more horrifying in the book.
I
Yes.
bet.
Yes, absolutely. Good point, Neil. Phil saying, I actually was born with telekinesis just like Carrie, but I swore never to use it for evil, pig blood or not.
Nice. Good for you, man.
Right. Good point. And we got my man Frank. Frank's in the chat. The harsh truth himself saying a horror film with a lot of emotion made it hit that much harder. Yes, I agree,
Yeah.
man. I totally agree with that. Eric saying that jump scare at the end always makes the top 10 list of scariest movie endings. Absolutely. And yeah, I was going to get to that too, man. Very much true. Uh, Dan saying, yeah, the Jesus crucifix was the scariest part. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was very creepy. But as Eric was alluding to, the house sinks down into hell. That's the basically what you get out of it. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that is so crazy. It's like, but I think
Hmm.
we talked about this before on the other episode when we did this on the other channel. Do you think that it was Carrie using her telekinesis on purpose to bring them down to hell, or do you think that it was almost like a punishment from God? I'm not trying to get too cerebral with it, but I know that last time we talked about that a little bit about how or maybe why that happened. What do you think?
She damned herself the moment
Okay.
she decided to lock those doors and kill all those kids and the teachers. And yeah,
Mm-hmm. So do you
I mean,
think so do
yeah.
you think that once she killed her mom, she was just basically like, mama is right. I'm full of sin. I'm damned. So let's go down to hell. Do you think that's kind of what she was basically thinking?
That was her fate, whether she was thinking it or not, yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was,
Okay. All right.
yeah,
Okay. And then, of course, at the end of all this, and then you have that sweet music. Brian De Palma has used this before. We did talk about this on our Dress to Kill episode, which was really interesting. Of course, this movie came out first, was done first, but you have
yeah,
Amy Irving, Sue Snell, who's going to the site where the house was, and it's like, wow. And and it says Carrie White burning in hell or whatever, and it's just like, holy crap, the imagery and just the moments are just terrifying, really. And the look on Sue Snell's face, everything is just like, wow, yeah, she's paying respect. And then of course we know what happens. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man, I remember as a kid watching this movie sometimes when it would come on TV on a Sunday afternoon, and this scene scared the shit out of me, man. It really, really did. What did you think of this scene, how it came together?
I mean, it's yeah, it's a great ending, you know. This poor chick, she's gonna have these nightmares, probably who knows how long.
Right. And
Yeah,
she woke
it,
up
it
and it
was,
was it was a
yeah,
nightmare.
yeah, it was suitable, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and then they go shooting the scene, showing how they were shooting it, and fantastic behind the scenes stuff too. And we do have a couple of fun facts we want to throw out to the folks in the chat and those watching the replay. So we'll go through a couple of those. Fun fact number one, and I'll read these out for you, Coriander. Fun fact number one is Sissy Spacek's prep.
Yeah, this poor girl, to prep herself for this role, she kept herself isolated from the rest of her cast. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she like decorated her dressing room with a bunch of religious items and yeah.
All right. Our next one, Piper Laurie, fantastic actress.
Yeah. She thought this movie was a black comedy, and De Palma had to take her aside and tell her that this was a horror film because, yeah, like she'd do a scene, and after the
Mm-hmm.
scene, she'd like be laughing. And he'd be like, "What the hell is she laughing about?" You know? So yeah, yeah,
Yep. All right.
I think that's crazy to think that this was a black comedy. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't find this movie and funny at all. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. Our next one is Real Mother and Daughter.
Yeah, I just found this out. I didn't know that Sue Snell, her character, and her mother Eleanor, that they're actually real life mother and daughter. Yeah,
I didn't know that
I thought that
either.
was pretty. Yeah, I thought that was pretty
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah. Our next one, Amy Irving.
She was supposed to play Carrie. Yeah, but
Hmm.
Sissy Spacek got the job, and I
That would have
don't
been something.
know how that would have worked. Yeah, that would have been something.
Yeah, very interesting. We got a couple more here. Our next fun fact, King's inspiration. Stephen King's inspiration.
Yeah, when he worked in a laundromat, he got the idea for some of the characters by some of the people that he was working with. Yeah, Carrie's mom, he worked with someone that he based that character on and
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right. And welcome back, Travolta.
That's funny. John Travolta, yeah, auditioned on a lunch break while filming Welcome Back, Cotter, and he was still dressed in his Vinnie Barbarino outfit.
That's hilarious. Very,
Right.
very cool. And we got one more here. The movie Better Than Book.
Yeah, King actually likes the movie, he said, better than the book. Yeah,
Wow, isn't that something? Now
right?
that's an interesting fun fact. Another one too that I want to throw out is PJ Souls actually had a ruptured eardrum in the final scene in the auditorium in the gymnasium when the
Yeah.
fire hose hit her. It actually
Yep.
ruptured her eardrum, and she was stunned in the moment. And the take, and they kept that as the take in the movie. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, wow, that's some of these actors and actresses, they really do get some bumps and bruises doing these
Right.
movies, and sometimes you
And
never know about it.
yeah, another smart thing that PJ did was in the very beginning when they were doing the volleyball scene and she took her hat off and hit Carrie with it.
Mm-hmm.
She added that. And before that scene, she was only going to have like a couple scenes. And De Palma was like, well, she's going to be in it more. So she
Yeah,
was smart to do that because, yeah, she ended up through the whole damn thing.
absolutely, very, very cool. This movie is just fantastic. Like I said, everything about it it's such a classic movie. It's so well done, and everyone involved, they were just great in it. They really, really were. Um,
Yeah.
a masterclass in filmmaking from top to bottom, in my opinion. I think that's why it still holds up, and it still is easily better than the other movies that have followed it. The
Hmm.
sequels and the remakes and all that type of stuff. But final thoughts,
Definitely.
just final thought for you, because and I say this because it's always interesting to know these types of things. But this is your favorite, or at least one of two favorite horror movies of all time for you. What
Yeah.
any final thought on this, or just something that comes to mind about this movie for you?
It's just such a good film, and yeah, I've like I said, I've enjoyed it since I was a kid, and I'm gonna enjoy it until the day I die. So and who knows? I mean, I've seen this movie. I can't even count how many times, and I mean, I can still just watch it and watch it. So that right there
Mm,
tells you that it's got something. Because yeah,
yeah,
it's
that's
awesome.
always that's always the mark of a movie that is just always gonna stay with you, and
Yeah.
it definitely is a great movie. Real quick in the chat, as we head on out here, let's see. I just want to catch up with these guys. Patrick had said that Carrie was dying. She killed herself as atonement. That's a good, yeah, that's definitely a good take on it. I agree. I can agree with that. Yeah. Beth was saying, I have always loved the look of this film, the Gaussian blur. It's very unsettling. It
Mm,
you know the it is a very distinct look to this film. I'll agree with that. And it's movies like this, and there are a few, but movies like this, for whatever reason, they always bring me into them. You know what I'm saying? Like I forget,
yeah.
what year I'm in, and I feel like I'm a part of what this movie is showing. Again, it's a testament to how good the movie is made, and all the things that the filmmakers and actors and actresses did.
And it's
But I agree
bringing
with
you
that.
back. Yeah, and it's bringing you back to a time where you had polyester and like you said, that hair and
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
The 70s,
absolutely.
man.
Yep.
Right?
Eric saying, once she killed her mom, she had nothing left. She was all alone, nothing left to do but end herself. Yeah. Yep. Love the contrast with Nancy Allen being such a good person in RoboCop and just being so wicked in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely, Nancy Allen has shown a great range in her career. She really, really has. Eric saying, thank God King's wife took this book out of the trash when he wrote it. We would have never gotten this film. Yeah, he did not
Yeah.
believe in this book. And his wife was the one that basically said, hey, this is good. And thank goodness. I mean, what a career Stephen King has had. So
Right?
many great books and so many movies that have been inspired or adapted from his work. I mean, people that have watched this channel, we love so much of Stephen King's work. So
Yeah.
I agree. Very cool. Neil saying, hands down, the best movie. But I did like Angela Bettis as Carrie White. Not as good as Spacek, though. Yeah, no, I agree. The other actresses did some good stuff. They really did. They really, really did. We got the real Logan in the chat saying Carrie's scary. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But anyways, guys, we're gonna get ready to head on out. Please give the video a like. We would really appreciate it, because that's what helps this video do well. It helps the channel and allows us to keep pushing on forward and doing content like this, especially if you enjoy it. But also in the comment section, please let us know what you think about this classic movie. What are some of your favorite scenes or moments, or just any type of discussion you'd like to have on it? We'd love to talk about it. So Coriander, thank you so much for doing this. This is one of your favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time. I know you love talking about it. And we
Yeah.
kind of we
Thanks
kind
for
of changed.
doing it.
Yeah, we kind of changed gears tonight. Instead of doing our usual slasher movie club movie, we decided to do this. But next week on Monday at 8 p.m., we'll be back with Slasher Movie Club. We'll be talking about Night School. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So for you guys watching, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out.
Church.